Welcome into Blockchain Basement. On today's episode, we will talk about why the Bitcoin price is crashing right now, the UK government lies exposed again, and what to expect for the Bitcoin price in the near future. All this and more on today's Blockchain Basement. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we.
Welcome into Blockchain Basement. It's going to be a really fun episode for you guys today. We love Bitcoin. We have a lot of fun with it, even when the price is crashing. Doesn't matter if the price is going up or down. We know how to make money with it, and we're here every single day for it. Welcome to all of you guys. Let's see. We got Ron, San Miguel, Cali Crypto Dude, Fluffy the Sheep, Matt Harvey, Flippa Frank, Rand San Miguel, Phil Nye, the Crypto Guy, Cyber Posty, Justin Eubanks, Manawak, Fluffy the Sheep, I think I already said that one. Blazing 2JZ, Solar Mining in Spain, Crypto JPM, King Peasant, Small Face, No Toe. Tony's got a busted toe right now. Hunter
Very
Daniel,
true.
and I did see, I think Fluffy the Sheep says it's TJ's fault for not having chicken salad yesterday. That's why everything's dumping. Well, I was excited to share with you guys today. I actually brought, can't really see. I just right before we went live, I just dumped all of these on my desk. You can't see it because the one
Speaking of dumping, yeah.
Speaking of dumping, you can kind of see there's like these are freeze dried Skittles actually, and they're really good. Kind of bullish for today. I'm
all over the desk.
Hoping it could mark a bottom. I'm extreme. Like I'm a little OCD. If you guys don't know this about me, it complete. Not only did I drop the bag, so half of them shattered. Then I went to accidentally dump the entire bag out on this.
Mouse
I wish you
pad.
could show it.
Oh, I can. I just
All right, hold on.
The PTZ.
The PTZ is
see.
incoming. You'll see it.
Yeah. It's gonna be great.
It's very triggering if anybody has any level of being organized at all. So it'll be interesting to see me try to not look at that 1,000 times throughout the stream. So
Check it out.
We're just gonna roll with it.
Manawak says hello, mom. Yeah, there you go. So there's the disaster
That's the
sitting on my
indicator.
desk right now.
That's TJ's lunch.
So that is that's today's indicator for what to expect for the Bitcoin price. So put your calls in, put your puts in. You know, like now's the time to take action. There's your indicator. Do what you will.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. Yeah, I did share a really funny meme the other day that was a bear with bull horns on there, and it's the state of the crypto market right now.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
good
that's very
point.
true.
Cali Crypto Dude says, what is that, rations?
Yeah.
So, based on where we're at in the market, sometimes you have to cut other spending and just go cheap with just some small rations.
Yeah, so I will. Oh God, this is so bad. It's gonna drive me crazy. But all right, let's look at the price real quick before we dig into some stories. Some really interesting stuff coming in. They released the new M2 money supply. Watching, and that really tells the tale of why markets have been contracting, because the money supply has been contracting. But before we get into that too much, we've got Bitcoin coming in at 26,284, down almost 3.5% on the day. Did go a little bit lower. Looks like it's bouncing just slightly. I was well over 27 last night. With that came a little bit of volume, 33 billion. We got 46 on the dominance, 19.5. So no real change there. But yeah, a lot of the pullback on Bitcoin and a lot of the majors. Let's look at some alts. Still have some alts up for the week, but the 24-hour, pretty much nothing up, and then some pretty strong pullbacks. Render still up for the week. We were looking at that one yesterday, but good time to keep an eye on different projects that you like right now. I know Drew, right before we went live, you said you got some meme coins that have been ripping. You're feeling good right now?
Yeah, meme coins have been chaos in the best kind of way for me.
Oh wait, did you go live on Twitch?
No.
Oh, we still got the
I
interesting.
see Twitch comments.
Yeah, well, I just saw a Twitch subscriber animation, so that was interesting.
Okay.
I
Maybe
wonder.
we're live and we don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe we are. Because
We are. It's just a happy accident, and all of you get the.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly. Oh, we are. So we're not supposed to be, but
Oh wow.
it's preloaded in there. So we'll get that fixed. But we are officially back on YouTube only. For the rest of the show, and it's a sad time. I know some of you guys mentioned yesterday that you stopped your subs. We might redo something with that Twitch channel again in the future, more gaming related. Maybe something with Joel. We don't really know yet, but for now, this is where this channel is gonna live. So talking about price action, I did want to check in. We've got some really good guests. I didn't really go around and do the intro. We got Kelly Kellum, BitLab Academy, joining us here today. The one and only Tony D, the leader and right hand made man to the Candle Mafia, Frankie Candles, in all the Discord, in all the chats, just kind of helping Frank all the time. Wanted to and then of course the lovely Ali Lee and
Hello.
Drew on the board. Whoa, who was that? That's scary. Wrong button. So Tony, what's kind of the sentiment in the Frankie Candles Discord right now? We've got a little bit of a pullback. I showed like 27 seemed to be a key level. I've got some other levels we're going to look at later in the show. 26.2 is a pretty strong pullback. Are we expecting to fall completely through the floor? Is there any support anywhere? Kind of what's the sauce, as they say?
I'll try my best to give the sauce in tribute to Frankie Candles, but I think 26.9 is a very big macro support level that we just broke down from, and I don't think we've broken down to this level since like 2 weeks ago, May 12th, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So whether or not we go further down from here or have a serious bounce back up into the range I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it could go lower because we broke that level again. So it seems like it's trying to test that low again. Yeah,
it seems like there's not a lot of liquidity. Market's tight. Let me ask you this: Bitcoin Miami. That was your first crypto conference, correct?
Yes.
What did you enjoy? What was kind of your main takeaway, highlight of the week for you in Miami? I know you met a lot of different people. Saw some different stuff. What was the highlight of that trip for you?
Meeting community members, man. Yeah. Meeting Kryptonon and Crypto Billy for the first time, hanging out with them a bunch. Meeting other creators in the space too was awesome. Going out and seeing like Tom Crown, Sean from Luxalgo, all the people that I've been forming connections with, but never put a face to the name, besides on YouTube.
Yeah. Totally. All right, so we'll come back. I'm gonna come to you, Kelly, on some price stuff too, because I know you with the BitLab, you've been doing a lot of these streams, keeping people up to date. Which, by the way, if you guys aren't subscribed to Frankie Candles or BitLab Academy, you should definitely go do that. Kelly, Frank's does great live streams, 5:45. They'll be doing one today, and Tony's there helping him with that all the time. Kelly, is it 10 or 10:30 you're doing them now?
10 a.m. to about 11:33.
Yeah. Oh, wow. 10 a.m. to 11:33 Eastern Standard Time, getting all the latest news and training. A great community there, especially if you're getting started on that journey. Pretty much beginner, intermediate, and advanced. No matter where you are in your crypto journey, you can find community within those Discords and the Academy. So I did want to cover this. Bitcoin dips 5% to a key support moment of truth for crypto markets. And this is something, the 200-week moving average. I don't know if this is something you've been keeping an eye on, Kelly, at all, but I know a lot of people, the 200-week moving average has always been a huge trend line for Bitcoin chart. So keep an eye on that. This is going to touch on that a little bit. Of course, there's a 100-day and there's all kinds of moving averages people watch, but the 200-day simple seems to be the main one that people like. So Bitcoin fell sharply after the May 24th Wall Street Open as a long-awaited retest of the key trend lines materialized. Bitcoin abandons the uptick, retest moving averages, which again we warned about yesterday as price continues to bump up against resistance time and time again, but it's failing to break out. It has less and less momentum each time. You start to see the lack of momentum, and it becomes more and more likely that you break down versus break up. And that's what we've been seeing at this 27K level, and then all of a sudden it just breaks down, and you can just leave it like that. It's fine.
But TJ, one of the things I also did today on the morning show on BitLab was I was just looking at the price action, turning off all chart patterns, all indicators, all moving average. Just looking at the price action, it's still, if you look at nothing else, it's doing exactly what the start of any bull market does. And we can't expect things just to go up, and away. When we then put on our, the start with the basics, the 200 was the 200 simple and the 200 EMA. I like having both on. It gives you a little bit of a range cloud. But we're doing exactly what needs to happen to have any sort of healthy move continuing to the upside, which is coming down, testing the resolves of the bulls, testing the patience of the bears, and seeing essentially it's always a back and forth sort of negotiation in every candlestick of who's in charge. And so we need these retests, and it's okay that we're coming down here. We just need to be patient and let the charts play out.
Yep, I agree 100%. And I was looking for another tweet that I'll look again later, but now here we go. Because to your point, it is coming down and retesting perfectly on that level. which you can see these came in the form of 100-day, 200-day week moving averages, both already a topic of conversation in recent weeks. We're getting the long awaited, to Kelly's point, like this is something a lot of people were waiting for, watching for. We need to come back and satisfy the chart gods, so to speak. If you ever hear people say a healthy retest, I remember people used to talk about that, or a healthy correction. When I was new to crypto, I'd hear about that all the time, and it'd be like, why is it healthy? Why can't it just always go up and to the right? You know, like what is this healthy pullback everybody's talking about? This is exactly that playing out right now. A healthy pullback to these levels. You can see here, we're getting a long way to retest the 200-week moving average. In my opinion, this is the most important level for BTC bulls to hold. Monitoring resources, material indicators, and let me see what this level was at the time. Looks like it's coming in right at 26.6. So we have broken below it temporarily, at least right now. So we'll see if we can come back and reclaim it on this is, I think, the daily, right? Yeah.
And it's taken long enough for the price to hold where it has, that the 200-week moving average has moved up. Almost, it's not in perfect confluence, but in very tight regional confluence of where the short-term holder cost basis has moved up as well, because that's a very pivotal sort of metric I follow when I'm looking at whether we're in an uptrend or a downtrend. And coming back down to test that region, I think right now it's about 25.7 or 25.9, somewhere it's in that region. And so right now there's nothing unhealthy about what's happening. It starts getting worrisome if we have a daily close or two below not only the 200, but then also the short-term holder cost basis. Man, that's insane.
Yeah. You're like, man, that's a lot of Kelly right there.
I'm like in my eyeballs, look into my eyes, you will see.
Look at how tan.
Oh, look at that.
I know.
It's that Italian. That's
Am I
Italian
tan?
blood right there.
He's so tan, that's almost mulatto.
Right.
I had like a lingering tan from the cruise too.
That's the pasta sauce coming through there. Yeah, so no, I mean, you brought up a lot of really good points, testing those levels, and that's exactly what we're sitting on now. If you look at this chart here, you see, the blue being the 100-day, the red being the 200-day. As Kelly mentioned, where it closes matters. So right now we're a little bit below it. Keep an eye on when the chart closes later today. If we close above it, total market capitalization for crypto getting into the areas of the 200-week EMA as well. So something to keep an eye on. Bybit open interest already almost back to where it was before this long squeeze. Seems like quite a lot of longs instantly re-entering. So basically there was some bullish momentum. We've seen that break down, and a lot of the longs that got liquidated, that's what causes, some of these sharp pullbacks. Now we're sitting right on a retest of a moving average. We've got the debt ceiling woes coming in right now. And we covered yesterday, we think a lot of what's going on in all these markets obviously has to do with fears around U.S. government defaults. We know in the past that they always tend to drag it out to the very last second, make it a photo finish, and then boom, they raise the debt ceiling. They manipulate markets this way. Experience would say that's what we're going to see them do again this time. And so you've kind of got an opportunity here where it's creating a little bit of a squeeze on Bitcoin, because and a lot of other markets and other assets as well. A lot of money off the table right now.
It's a hesitation to deploy any capital right now until there's a direction.
Right. The capital is being held tight to see what happens. And as soon as the debt ceiling gets raised, boom, it all gets redeployed. And we'll probably see that relief that we're looking for. That being said, this could be an excellent buying opportunity, whether you're looking at Bitcoin or altcoins or others. I know Ali and I have been talking, we've been accumulating some Bitcoin this year, and we're looking, again, I know we preach DCA. DCA is definitely the way, but I also just like to YOLO in when I feel like we've kind of got a decent point. So we'll probably be throwing a chunk in, maybe today, maybe another chunk in Friday to try to, build that stack up as time goes on, because I feel like, again, I like it in 26s. Yeah, sure, it could fall to 25. Some people talking about it even going to 20. If there's enough bearish sentiment here that's building up. But I'm not going to sweat if I get it at 26 versus 22 versus 25. To me, it's just if I can just check that box and mentally move on, it's more beneficial for me to be thinking forward than to be obsessing over when to make one financial decision. So
with that being said too, somebody pointed out here, and I do think it's not a huge consideration, but with everything being on a razor's edge right now about the mass uncertainty that's in markets from everything going on, debt ceiling coming up, we have the not impending, but we have another FOMC meeting on June 13th and 14th. But of course, what do we do in markets? What we're trying to do is the price is forward looking about where we think price is going to go. So even though the price interaction today on a chart and what investment behaviors are, whether deploying capital or distributing or accumulating, one or the other, is also dependent on what people think is going to happen in the future. And so if we know the FOMC meeting's coming, FOMC meeting is coming in June 14th with a new potential either pause or even another rate hike. We have the FOMC meetings minutes that are coming out today at 2:00, which, although that's not a huge deal, because everything right now is hinging on what exactly the speculation could be of if we pause or if we actually raise height rate, rate hike, height rate, it's a new term. But the FOMC meeting minutes may cause some movement in the charts, depending on what the tone that is illustrated from the last, because if there were certain metrics that they're looking for that could give indication of whether or not they may or may not pause, or they may not have mentioned that at all. I cannot imagine that they wouldn't have mentioned it at all. But
let me give you my theory on that. I think with markets like what we saw last night, they just priced that in because last night around, let's see, this is 9:00 last night. I saw Benjamin Cowan tweeted this: odds of a 25 basis points rate hike have subtly shifted higher now. Like it was at 0%. Then I think they came in at like 20%. Now it's shifted up to 30% for June. This is for another rate hike, basically another 25 basis points. The odds are slowly sliding up. And then within minutes of the odds going up, then you saw the market correct. And I think basically that was the market pricing in a 30% chance of another rate hike. And then again, we get past that, really past mid-June. I think there's a lot more. And that's what we're seeing from a lot of the bullish sentiment too. Like if we can survive another week or two without a dramatic correction, if we can hold anywhere close to 26.9 is the number Tony mentioned, above 25, get past, we raise the debt ceiling. I think that'll give us some relief, get past another potential rate hike or pause. And then once we get through June, there's definitely some opportunities for things to go further. But it was interesting within minutes of seeing these probabilities change. Boom, the Bitcoin price, reacted. And the M2 money supply, which we're going to look at in just a minute, came out. So on that debt ceiling thing, the debt ceiling woes mount. United States equities also lost a lot at the open amid concerns over markets' reactions to the Biden administration's debt ceiling stalemate. Again, they always do this. They always posture. They always make strong statements and then end up raising the debt ceiling every single time. I don't see an option where they don't. If they don't, there's going to be mass chaos around not just the United States, but much of the world and many markets.
The question, though, that's scary is, based on everything that's going on, are they trying to sow certainty or chaos? That's a bizarre thing because, of course, we all think, well, why would they want chaos? Well, seeing what everything is going on with the rate hikes, with the consolidation in the banks, I'm losing my trust, man.
Yeah. Oh, totally. We've definitely lost a lot of trust. We were talking, Drew. I think it was Justin Williams, Drew, Nick, and I talking this morning before the live stream about this very subject. We know that this is global at this point. We know the people pulling the economic strings for the different governments are doing it at a global scale for a global reason. So, and we know they're trying to bring lower nations up, and they're trying to find an equilibrium. If we're trying to use a one world system and they want, things to be quote unquote equitable, they need to just as much bring the bottom up as they need to bring the top down. Right now, the United States, being that top nation, needs to correct down into the middle from their perspective. I don't agree with that from where I'm sitting now, but from their perspective, if you ask the World Economic Forum, if you ask Klaus Schwab, a lot of those type of the globalists, as you call them. Oh, that was a bad Alex. Those globalists out there. Yeah, I can't do it as good as Ben does. But the people with the global initiatives, obviously they want things to be more balanced. And that means the United States needs to take a step down. To your point, Kelly, that's going to be chaotic. And now, is that a controlled demolition down, or do they just, hey, you know what? Let's just let the United States default. Let's just see what happens. Like, normally maybe we default for a couple days and it creates chaos. Let's give it 30 days. Let's see what happens. Let's give it 90 days. Let's see what happens. I don't know. And it really does feel like somebody's arbitrarily testing and pulling those levers to see, how they can profit or.
Like they're slowly getting us more and more comfortable with chaos.
It's very true. Yeah. And misdirection and confusion to where you have to rely on them to provide the resources and the answers. That's always what it is. Create the problem, insane physical irresponsibility that creates an impossible math problem to solve. Create fear. Oh, if we don't solve it, everything's going to collapse. Everything that you know and that you're comfortable with is going to be ruined. Oh, and then we're going to also come in and be the solution, print more money, and then we go back to it, and it's great for us. It's terrible for you. And that's unfortunately what we see over and over. But to Kelly's point and to what we were talking about today, what if this is the time they decide to create mass chaos? What if this is the time that they don't raise the debt ceiling? Then I guess, this is when it's important that you've been watching the blockchain bunker so that you've got your chickens and you've been DCAing into, what did Nick say the other day? DCAing into 338 and 556. Uh-oh.
Hop in, grab the mushroom.
What are you trying to grab? Uh-oh. Yeah, where's the PTZ? You need a mic? Yeah, slide. Make one of those mics longer.
Hey.
Hey.
Tony, can you make it longer for me?
We got what? Who's that?
Make it longer, bro. Bro, make it even longer.
I think that's as long as it gets.
That's good. TJ, do you have Memorial Day planned? Yeah.
No. We talked about. I was just asking Nick about that. I was like, what's the plans?
Are you and me gonna live stream?
We can.
You and me always do.
Yeah, we usually do. That's
Is he gonna be in trouble if he live streams with me, Allie?
We don't have any plans on Monday.
I figured you would.
I love doing the holiday Ben and TJ only streams.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
a throwback.
Those are the best.
And an empty building.
Johnny will usually.
Yeah, come in the morning.
Johnny will usually come in the morning and set it up. So yeah, I love it. It feels like old times.
Yeah, I like
I remember, wasn't it Memorial Day that we like really had that power? Where like things were falling apart, we were losing subscribers, and people were gaining on us, and like we came out like just you and me and sat and had a huge meeting and then live stream by ourselves.
Could have been. That would have been in 21. You're talking about? May of 21.
May of 21 when things were falling apart. Yeah.
Ben coming from the Thunder from Down Under's practice.
Guys,
Down Under.
I don't need to practice, okay? I already know I do it. So what are we talking about?
We were talking about if they were to ever not raise the debt ceiling, the absolute chaos that would create, and the political, the absolute theater of not raising the debt ceiling. But here, I'll skip ahead a little bit.
More and more comfortable with chaos. Yeah. So at some point, they are going to do something.
I'll skip ahead a little bit to something I think you'll like. And I don't know if they covered this for you. Sometimes they rip off a lot of the stuff. Sometimes I'll put stuff in the blockchain basement, and Drew and Johnny will rip it for the morning stream. But
that's a good question. Would TJ go with Allie to Thunder Down Under?
I'm not familiar. What is
Thunder Down Under is the Australian strip show thing in Vegas.
Like Chippendales.
Yeah.
Chippendales
like
in
TJ
Vegas.
saw it once.
Yeah, Ben and I went together.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You doxed me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go with my wife, but I would go with TJ.
Yeah.
They were there for tryouts, so it's a whole different
Right,
thing.
it's totally different when they're
auditioning.
Right.
Internet Magic Money Mike.
So have you seen the new M2 money supply they released?
No, I have not.
No. It's very interesting. The M2 data was released today. It's down 4.63% since last year, the fastest pace of money supply destruction since 1933. The Fed eased at 100 mile an hour. So basically, this is going all the way back to 1960. This is the money supply creation. So obviously we knew they were absolutely blowing the money supply up in 2020 to insane levels, but now they've absolutely destroyed it.
What did they do with all the money? Where'd it go? They burned it?
I mean, it's slowly ended up with the Fed. I mean, between the Fed, the rate hikes and all that sort of stuff. So it's now this
guy telling me not to ruin the basement. Shut up, man.
Oh, MHMA7. He's not going to ruin it.
More 7.
How could he ruin it when he paid to build the basement?
But what I wanted to talk about here with this is they've obviously insane supply creation and then insane supply contraction, which is creating the tension between the banks and all these problems. And it's creating kind of it is creating the liquidity squeeze on all markets. Now, once we raise that debt ceiling, we were just talking about June. Now they're pricing in another potential rate hike. Could be the last, which Drew, were you the one saying about the prank call? Was that you talking about that? So what, explain that again.
Yeah. Some Russian pranksters called Jerome Powell posing as Ukrainian officials. And
he told them, he didn't realize it was a prank, allegedly.
He didn't realize it was a prank. And he said there will be 2 more rate hikes. And that was 1 rate hike ago. So now, according to that prank call, we have 1 more rate hike, and then he'll hold and release and go back to quantitative easing during the election.
Yeah. And so that would be insane if that plays out to be 100% true. And he just ousted the whole plan to a bunch of Russian prank callers. Yeah. But the squeeze on this money supply is definitely what's creating. This was the other thing that's interesting. Where is?
Oh, look at this. We got Hunter Daniel in the chat. I got to go in a second, guys. I got to go do it because I do have Chippendale's training soon.
Yeah.
I have a laser hair removal today, so I
that
got
is
to go.
Chippendale's training.
It is. We got Hunter Danielle in the chat saying, when is the Bit Squad going to come see us over at Cleanspark again? Why is it looking really special now? Just had a meeting with Dennis Porter from Satoshi Action Fund last week about us doing some pro crypto mining regulation in Georgia and including Cleanspark. So I will tell you, it'll be soon. So we're really excited. He was really excited to find out that we had talked with you guys and did a documentary with CleanSpark. We love CleanSpark. Always say it. We love CleanSpark. Like you guys, we think they're great. So be on the lookout for more stuff revolving around that. So guys, I got to go get my body lasered.
They don't put them in your eyes, do they?
No, heck no. I'm going to ask for no laser eyes. I don't want that. And appreciate you guys having me on. I will let what's this guy's name? Hey, what's your name again? Frank. I'm going to let Frank take over.
There's on the SEC.
Bye.
There's a running joke in the office where, well, mostly between Ben and I, where Ben's just calling me Frank and calling Frank Tony.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I love it.
And we're all Frank today, though. We did not plan.
Yeah, you guys all wearing the Frankie Candles hat.
Good hat, man.
It is a good hat. Actually, I just made this hat this morning because at the conference, we were saving the last one for Crypto Pollo, our community member, and someone else wanted a hat, so I just gave him the hat I was wearing. I was like, if you don't mind a used hat, you could take this one.
Talking about giving the
Nice.
shirt off your back.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I mean, we have like so many hats here. What am I going to be like? No, this is mine.
Yeah, now I'm gonna try to connect those thoughts because I'm bouncing around with the money supply thing. But what it does, and shout out real quick if you guys don't mind smashing the like buttons. 300 people in here, only 100 likes. If we could trying to get to that 420 like goal every single day. I know you guys are big helpers with that.
Spread the gospel.
Yeah, we are gonna do something. We are gonna do something special. I was gonna do it when we hit 10K subscribers. Now we're gonna do it when we hit 15K because we blew past 10 so fast. But stay tuned for that. And the more you like and subscribe, the more information you're gonna get about what that is that's coming. So make sure you
Hey,
sub,
Drew, will you rug this jackass the big 3D FPV?
Oh, yeah.
He is some in his mind thinking that I'm affiliated with projects I'm not even affiliated with whatsoever. Somebody listed me on some project that I was an advisor for. I have no interaction with that whatsoever. I've already messaged to have me removed from that. I'm not even a part of it. It's just ridiculous. You know, if you lost money on any project and it ruined your portfolio, then you need to come to BitLab Academy so you can learn how to diversify your portfolio so you understand how to make money in these markets.
There you go.
I will gladly rug.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm gonna pull this together and then we're gonna come back to UK
And back on
inflation.
track.
Yeah, because I just wanted to point. So we're looking at this graph and I think I already closed it now, showing the money supply, and this shows it by percentage. I pulled this one up too. So going back to 1960, a 27% increase, basically now down to -5. So that's just insane spike to insane. Now this is percentage change. So that's something to keep in mind. This can be a little misleading to make it think like, oh, there's less money circulating now than there was 2 years ago. No, that's not true. This is just less being, they created a bunch really, really, really fast and then they stopped for about a year. And so that's what's creating the pump and then the tightening. And really what was interesting is when I pulled it up on Bitcoin's price correlation. Well, this is cool too. This is Bitcoin versus the M2 money supply, and it's really struggling against that 2017 high.
But what's great about that chart? Pull that chart back up. Yeah. One of the interesting things about this chart is because we had such I won't call it hyperinflation, but as close to hyperinflation as we could get, and how fast we printed money post-pandemic, that the time between the global economic shutdown, where we had that huge sell-off back in March of 2020, and then we had the market pump, there was so much more money in the economy that was printed, stimulus, there's all this stuff, that if you look at this chart, you'll notice, it's kind of hard to tell, but you'll notice in the top two peaks, the 64,000 top was actually the peak on this chart, and above the level that was a secondary peak that, if you looked at the traditional Bitcoin to US dollar chart, it looks like, we went up to $68,000, $69,000. $64,000. But if you account for the inflation, looking at this M2 money chart, the $64,000 top was the top accounting for inflation, which also lines up with a lot of the signals. This is one of the reasons why it was so confusing trying to identify where the market top was. And if we were going to go to 100K, because all the on-chain signals, because of all this new money, showed a completely distorted view as to where the market top was supposed to be. So this is a great chart to look at. I'm glad you shared it. And Caleb's a smart guy. If you're not following him, you should.
Yeah, I mean, so to his point, basically what he's saying is this top right here, the amount of money, even though this was in May and the price was only 64, it was higher in relation to the dollar with the amount of dollars that were circulating at the time. So even though this one was 69K, there was way more dollars in circulation at the time. So it was really just the dollar having less buying power, not Bitcoin having more. And that's why a lot of people would make the argument that May was the actual top rather than November. And go ahead.
And the peak that we're at now, we're finding resistance on the M2 money adjusted Bitcoin chart.
Yes.
That is the same, basically the previous high and that market correction. So there's a lot of bizarre, this is why Stanley Druckenmiller, was quoted saying, he's one of the most legendary investors in, I don't know if he's an economist, but legendary people in markets of our time. And he was discussing about how, people are trying to gain signal from what his view on where the markets are going. And he's like, this is the most uncertain I've ever been about what's happening. And
go to the screen. There you go. I was ready for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Stanley Druckenmiller, he said, "I'm sitting here staring in the face of the biggest and probably broadest asset bubbles. Forget that I've ever seen, but that I've ever even studied."
Hell yeah.
So basically, and that's what a lot of people say. We're in the biggest asset bubble that we've ever been in. And this isn't, people say Bitcoin's in a bubble. No, all assets are in a bubble because it's all just debt on top of debt on top of debt. And it's blown all of these assets up, and they're just all they do is try to build more debt on top of them. We've covered that in the last couple episodes yesterday and the day before about how much debt a nation's carrying compared to what it's producing, how much debt its citizens are carrying compared to what they're producing, and eventually that has to blow up. And that's kind of what we're starting to.
Can I go off on a
rant for us?
All right,
give us the truth.
Yeah.
All right, so the situation we're seeing, I understand why he's saying that it's the biggest asset bubble he's ever studied.
Now, I'm not seeing levels on the board. Does that might come through?
Yeah, no, okay. It's on a different board.
Okay.
So basically, this idea has been in my mind for a while. And I knew that America was going to come up to the end of its life cycle as the dominant currency, which we're at 270 years right now. Makes sense that this is an asset bubble that's about to pop. Blockchain, in my opinion, is a similar kind of invention to what I compare to the pen or currency when we stopped trading salt for cows and we started being able to devise things and transfer them. This situation, I do feel like we are in a controlled demolition. Our fiat is going to lose value, but this tokenization and the blockchain systems that we're developing right now are an invention that can put us in a situation where anyone that isn't involved with these stocks or these crypto assets now, 20 or 30 years, there's going to be a different asset. There's going to be basically classes of people. You're going to have the renters, the persistent people that follow in the fiat footsteps and mainstream media's footsteps are renting. They don't own things. And then you're going to have what they call a digerati, where people that were in this asset class. And it's kind of a dystopian idea, but I don't see people across the board waking up fast enough to escape being crushed by runaway inflation as these bubbles do explode. So yes, they're going to explode, but it's not the end of the world. It's just the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's really, if you start coming back to the Great Depression is really where you started to see that happen. I mean, it was the first big bubble blowing up. And if you start to I had this chart here that's like a longer time scale chart for showing the money supply growth year over year. And so this goes all the way back 1870. Yep. And so you can start to see the major swings in the 1800s. And the idea was, well, ironically, it's when we had central banks, we had these major swings. Things started to settle down. I think it was right in here we didn't have any. And then about 1913, we brought it back in. And that's when the swings got even more dramatic. And the whole idea was, our charter was to stabilize things. The idea would look something kind of like this instead of so dramatic, up, down, up, down. And you can see it's not getting less volatile as time goes on. It's getting more volatile. So here we are, depression, I'll push this in just a little bit so you guys can see. Depression of 1921. And then right here, this is in 1930 or 29. What a lot of you guys know, the Great Depression is when it went -12. We're sitting right over here at -4 right now.
This reminds me, anybody that's ever ridden a motorcycle, it's like
The wobbles?
Yeah, well, you all of a sudden get a
Skateboard,
speed
too.
wobble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
and you also
wobble.
it's just like, and you might get, and then you get thrown at some point. You get thrown off the bike.
Right.
So everybody's trying to predict, and people. I remember even, I was born in '84, so I remember even around the millennium, Y2K, that people there's been this speculation about when the economy is actually going to like have not a crash like we're seeing now. I'm talking like a crash, and so that's what we get, this huge influx of interest in riding the speculative bubble up. But there's still this fear of when that, and the higher we go, the harder the fall is going to be. So
Absolutely.
there's a bizarre sort of give and take there to want to ride the train, but also not want to be sitting at the top of the building when the floor gives out.
Totally. And basically, and it becomes a game of chicken between different countries and economies. That's what's so fascinating to me is we all know this all built on debt, but all these nations hold each other's debt. We talked about the other day, China holds a lot of US debt. I did notice in the comments, a lot of you guys saying, I think Australia and Japan are also top holders. Maybe I think even the number 1 and 2 holders of US debt, so it all becomes interconnected. And then we hold yuan debt. And so like if we're printing, then they have to print faster and it becomes a currency war game. And it's interesting now they're really starting to push crypto in a positive light in China, which is fascinating. I know they did just launch a government-backed metaverse, allegedly. I don't know much about it. I just heard that.
And they're exploring with Hong Kong, which I think is going to be like a testing ground for China.
Yep.
About exploring the ability to, I think there's over 200 or 500. It's hundreds of new applications for blockchain companies, basically to be licensed to operate in Hong Kong. But then also they're exploring the basically releasing the regulations to empower everyday citizens to invest and participate in the digital asset ecosystem, which if that were to happen, I don't think it's going to happen June 1st, like some people think it is, but I think that's going to be the starting point of over the next 2 years, probably some relaxing of some restrictions that have choked off some potential liquidity that could come into the digital. And so once that choke point's taken off, that's going to be a whole new ball game.
Yep. Well, and that's what Fabian here was talking about. Not just, we talked about Hong Kong a lot yesterday, but even in mainland China, he said, I have some Chinese friends, colleagues who confirm the hype is real and spreading fast over there. New capital inflows will start gradually, but ramp up with time and become major tailwind if they stay on this path. The significance of the Chinese population for crypto really cannot be overstated. This is in response to CZ's tweet here saying that CCTV, China Central Television, just broadcasted crypto. It's a big deal. The Chinese speaking communities are buzzing. Historically, converges like these led to bull runs. Not saying past predicts the futures and not financial advice, but this is a big deal when it comes, again, capital inflows is what this is all about. We've been seeing them constrict around the world. But
let me ask you, TJ.
Yes.
Do you think, because now we've seen one huge restriction actually enacted, the Bitcoin mining ban near the last top. Now near the bottom, we're seeing we saw obviously the liquidity in China pumping up, which was a huge divergence before we had the pump that started at the beginning of the year. And now we're having this sort of restrictions on digital assets starting to be lifted. We're still regionally, near a good entry point near the bottom. Do you think if the capital inflows start coming in from China, Hong Kong and China over the next 2 years into 2025, that there's going to be some new sort of regulations that slapped on near the next top, almost like this constructed sort of way that they are incentivizing bottom investment and basically not disincentivizing it, but preventing, basically making people get out near market tops. It feels like it could be a little orchestrated.
I would say yes. I feel like right now it is definitely orchestrated, but I would say no. In 2025, we won't see it again. I think what we're seeing right now is everybody trying to get the system in place, their ducks in a row to really profit a lot in 24 and 25. And then at that point, they've got the regulation in place. They're paying the government, you're paying licensing fees. The government's getting their piece as time goes on from what they're going to set up in 2024 that I believe creates the big bull run in 24 and 25, in my opinion. we're still going to have to wait and see on a lot of that. But I do think what we're experiencing right now is nations around the world trying to position themselves for really what becomes the blockchain race at this point, the digital space race, so to speak.
Yes.
And we're starting to see that, like I said, tightening and tightening. I do think what's really fascinating to me is more what you were talking about earlier on what was the true top November versus May. Because if it was May, we're getting closer to some real bullish activity. Now, I still maintain...
on the timeline basis.
On a timeline basis, yeah. Now, I still maintain November because that fits within the 4-year halving cycle timeline much better. And that, that's what has held true for me over the strongest point in time. So I'm still looking at early April of next year when the halving happens as really, truly being the catalyst as all this stuff goes on. And, really, we've got 9 months of accumulation. We've got a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of macro things that happen that have major long-term effects, but very minor short-term effects, I feel like, in my opinion, like a regulation thing getting approved, like some, Coinbase getting some kind of stamp of approval from the government. Like it's not like anything's going to pump that day. But what it will do is set up for big capital inflows into the future. And
like building a road.
Exactly.
When you build a road, it's not immediately traffic jammed.
Right.
But when you build a road, you're creating think about the infrastructure. Crypto Jeb used to talk about this a lot. When you think about the value, we don't really think about the value of infrastructure. But if you really think about the entire U.S. economy, it's built on the transportation infrastructure that we have in the U.S., railroads and roads themselves. And when you build a road, again, it's not immediately trafficked, but you're projecting out how much traffic will be there. And then the traffic that's on those roads is what brings trade and commerce to all the spaces along those roads. So the same thing is happening right now. And I do think the government is smarter than it lets on. And it's much like you just said, TJ, is a perfect comment. I think that some of the regulations and the somewhat slow pace of actually acting like they're even caring or being involved, I think some of it is slow playing so they can figure out how that they can get their hooks into these systems so that they can make sure they're profiting on it as well.
Totally. And on that note, Brian Armstrong we've covered it on this channel before, has a really good blog post. I think he wrote in like 2016 about infrastructure and kind of the way he views Coinbase as being that bridge or that road to connecting the digital world with the fiat gateways. And so I think it's a good analogy and it articulates what you were just describing very well. I think it's on Medium, or I think you can find it through going to Coinbase, or his, I think you go to Brian Armstrong's Twitter, his Medium might be linked there and you can find his post. It's good stuff. And I do think we are on that precipice of moving right on there. And now earlier I lost the chat. I want to say it was Kai or Ty or something crypto talking about pickleball. Basically, Crypto with Kai says when Bitcoin markets like this, I just say screw it. Let's go play some pickleball. Have you been working on that third shot drop? I have been. I am getting a lot better. And yes, this is the next 9 months is going to be good for a lot of pickleball and accumulating crypto and playing pickleball. But a lot of the action, a lot of the fun stuff is going to be in 24 and 25.
Razmataz from the basement said, "Can you hook us up with a basement Discord channel or Telegram or something?"
Yes, I am. Yeah, I've been wanting to do that for quite some time. So part of what we've been doing with the reorganizing here will allow some bandwidth for creating some basement specific groups and all that sort of stuff. Not yet, Crypto Chris. Maybe by the end of this week, we'll see.
I can help you with the Discord if you want.
Yes, Tony, we got the Discord master here.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, we will get a Discord together. There is part of that is tied to some of the special stuff I mentioned around 15K subscribers. So we do want to do more to have some more fun with the community because you guys are the best basement dwellers. Hey, I know we got a lot of communities here. I'm not, no shade to, the Candle Mafia or anybody in BitLab or, Bit Squad or anything. We're all, I run, one big family in some regards, but
we're all competing like mother.
Basement dweller. Basement dweller. And we all know who, basement dweller is one of the best communities out there. I mean, and I know there's big crossover, but, you guys are awesome.
Basement dwellers and Candle Mafia pickleball match.
Hey, let's go.
Come on.
Let's go. I tell Frank he better work on his game, man.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's pretty good at pickleball. Frank, I've never seen play.
Does he ever play?
No, I don't think so. I think Tony's the pickleballer for that channel.
Yeah, he played once. The first time I came to the office and played, and that was his first time, and then we haven't seen him since.
He'd be too busy doing technical analysis on the drop shot.
Yeah, exactly. Kelly, another good pickleball player too. Actually, we got a lot of pretty good pickleball players here at the office. So
I haven't had time.
When my
I
feet,
do it.
when my feet
True.
work, I can play, but when they don't, I watch.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, I wanted to show this. This is another from Will Clement. This is one that was interesting, showing pretty major compression here on Bitcoin. So you keep hearing me talk about this squeeze. The tightening on the supply of Bitcoin, big move soon. This is fascinating. So if you're looking here, so you got Bitcoin price 7-day high, 7-day low, 7-day range. So that would, when you look at this, you don't really see too much. So you're really checking the bottom here, right? So the gray is the 7-day range, meaning the lower it is, the tighter the range. So you can see here, like he's circled here when we've gotten down to this level, and this is where we're at right now. Every time we've gotten down into these really tight ranges, you've seen, a big spike afterwards. Really tight range, big spike. Really tight range, big spike. Now these spikes are, again, difference between the high and the low. So this could be a spike to the upside or a spike to the downside. But June of 20, January of 19, January 23, we know we saw a big, like when we were trading in this really, 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 really tight range, and then all of a sudden, boom, we saw a big pop. And then right now, where we've been in this really tight range, it's due within the next couple days, really, for a big pop. Now, is that a big drop down to 25 to 20? Is it a big pop up above 30? That's the $1 million question.
It's interesting that this is all tying in. We want to say it's the debt ceiling. We want to say it's inflation. We want to say all these things. It's never one or the other. The charts are showing that there's a compression in volatility, meaning a tightening of volatility, and everything in markets cycles. If price goes up, it comes down. If volatility tightens, then it expands. If it contracts, then it also, it goes. All these things are basically cyclical. And so it's interesting that we're coming into the very end of the month that we want to speculate that it's because of the debt ceiling, or even if you're not paying attention to all the context here, you can see this playing out specifically in the charts. And this is why it's nice to have context, but also be aware of what the data is saying in the charts.
Very true. And when I look at, like you said, you got to take all these factors in: macro, charts, micro, money supply, and really, and then some have a bigger impact than others, like what Coinbase does or doesn't do in regulation. Sure, sometimes that has a big impact. But what the Fed does or doesn't do always has a big impact. What the money supply is always has an impact. So this is something else that's interesting to keep an eye on. I know we've been covering a lot of, especially throughout 2022, a lot of the different insolvencies that caused a lot of the market to collapse. We've got, this is unconfirmed, but according to insider information update, DCG, which again, if you watch the beginning of the show, Digital Currency Group owns Grayscale, owns all sorts of other, CoinDesk, all kinds of different blockchain companies. According to this, DCG is functioning insolvent, has been for 9 months, missing debt payments, can't pay partner firms, can't pay creditors, accused of false balance sheet narratives to convince even the smallest creditors to re-up. Only one business at DCG continues to pay executives and their lawyers, and that's Grayscale. Now, if this is true, and we start to see more pressure on Grayscale, obviously that represents a big portion of Bitcoin. Now, that is a trust. I can't imagine all of it would have to be liquidated for any reason that has to do with creditors. But these are the things to keep in mind. You see something like this going under, that could cause a big collapse in price. So if people say like there's no way we're going back to 20, I would just say careful listening to that narrative. I could very easily seeing us go back and retesting 20. I wouldn't put the percentage very high. Maybe, 35%. We go back to 20. I'd say above 50%. We're going back to 25 at some point. And either way, you want to have cash on the sidelines and be accumulating anytime that happens, because there's still, most of the washout has happened, but there's always more. And according to what the Fed's doing, according to what we just looked at with the money supply, the economy isn't going to be in great shape for the next 9 months, which means there's not going to be a lot of excess money. And until that happens, that's really what pushes a lot of markets up. So this is another thing. TED Talks Macro, great one to keep an eye on. This sounds bad, but in a lot of ways, this is what we need to happen in order for the Fed to stop raising rates. So it's not looking good for the U.S. employment market, with leading indicators pointing to a higher rate of unemployment. Fed targeting 4.6. Unemployment, jobless claims trending higher, temporary worker unemployment increasing, new housing starts on the decline. So again, this is the direct relation to what we're seeing from the monetary policy. They want people unemployed because that, like, the higher unemployment is, then that starts to offset inflation a little bit there. So it's a little scary. It's not going to be fun in the short term.
So to fix inflation, they got to make everyone poor.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just to
exactly.
clarify.
Yeah, and they got to make it easier and more efficient for robots to do the jobs, and then you guys just stay at home, and really we'll just keep you alive and keep you doing the bare minimum. We'll feed you, just enough food and give you just enough housing while we live in complete opulence.
Be good
And
to your neighbors.
Yeah.
I literally have a text message from my neighbor trying to drop off like 20 pounds of chicken nuggets to my house.
there
Oh,
you
that's
go.
nice.
No, it is. Be good. Local communities, be good to your neighbors. And I think that's a really good point. If you can learn to survive and thrive in small communities and not rely on big brother, big government, big business, big industry to bail you out, to save you, to backstop you, to support you, to help you survive, then you're most likely going to have a much happier, much more fulfilled life. I know that's been
Second,
my
you
experience.
take money, somebody else. And I don't mean because you work for it, that's a trade. I mean like a government
Like a
subsidy.
handout.
And some people need it. I'm not going to call that out. But if you're taking money because you're not living up to the abilities and the options that you have or have not explored, then you're allowing yourself, you're donating your life to be owned.
Shout out to John in the chat. He said, this show is terrible. Bro, what are you doing with
I
your
know,
life?
I love that.
The show's so terrible. He's watching,
Yeah,
he's commenting,
yeah,
he's
like-
participating.
Helping in every way
John,
possible.
everybody give John a little love. Let John know that he's a beautiful person. He's loved.
Yeah.
It's okay if he was picked on. We'll be here for him.
We still care.
Hey, Drew.
Yeah.
Can I get some of those chicken nuggets from your neighbor?
Let me get that nug.
It's like where my mind went as soon as he said that.
Of course.
All right, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. If I want to talk, I don't really feel like talking about. Okay, we'll talk about the UK real quick. Guys, UK lied.
Yep.
Their inflation's way up. They said there's no recession, but we do have 14% inflation. Now, I did have somewhere else they were reporting lower, like 10,
And
but
crime is exploding.
Yeah.
because
Got to
of,
pull that up.
What is
new
it?
enjoyers of the landscape. So, getting ugly.
yeah, hold on. Let's see. G Balarian. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
Stock money wizard.
Or tag me in it real quick. Just tag Hit Network. So the hotter than expected UK core consumer price index rate came in at 6.8%, highest since 1992, against an expected figure 6.2. This means gains in core prices excluding food and energy and tobacco accelerated 6.8% last month from 6.2 in March. So these are month over month numbers that we're talking about here. Not a good time to be in the UK. And like everybody's saying there, John, we do love you, buddy. And we wish you all the best. Hope you have when you do a show, let me know. I will watch it and I will give you my very honest feedback as well, because I would, I love to help people, So here's the meme. Kelly was just talking about how the economy works. We got an old Jerome Powell over here. Lower rates, economy is weaker, QE, quantitative easing, free money for anybody. Inflation is high, raise rates, soft landing, crash on your face, recession, lower rates. And then we do it all over again. I mean, that is more or less, if you watch, I want to say it's Markets 101, How the Economy Works 101 or something like that. It's Ray Dalio animated explainer video. It does a pretty good job of explaining how governments control markets with inflation and interest rates and kind of what happens, what they do when that is no longer working, which is kind of the situation we're in right now. They lowered the interest rates to zero. It still wasn't stimulating the economy enough, so they just had to print free money. That stimulated it enough, but actually wrecked everything. So now interest rates are way too high. They're going to run into the same problem again when they start lowering them. They're not going to get enough. Like the stimulus that they're doing from raising and lowering these rates is no longer having the effect. It's like we've gotten addicted to a drug that is no longer effective, and we have to keep doing more and more and more and more until we end up strung out on the side of a ditch. And that's unfortunately the direction our economy is heading right now. So fortunately for us, we do have something called Bitcoin. We have digital assets. We have a way to exit the current monetary system, which is why we're here every single day. So if you're here watching, John, we love you. Go buy some Bitcoin. Hopefully this can change your life.
He did say, "Oh no, I feel sorry now." Or,
No, don't. Yeah, don't. I'm just saying. Hey, if you're anybody who's out there watching, the reason we're doing this is so that way we can bring forth information up to the top of the surface to make it easier for you to find and consume. Because we know a lot of this data in the mainstream media is completely manipulated and presented in a way that gives you a false interpretation of reality. We want you to know what's going on and how to change your life for the better, because we did it. And we're much happier now than what we were doing before, living in the 9-to-5 rat race. Now we get to come here and hang out with our friends talk about crypto, talk about financial freedom every single day, and hopefully you can get there too. Smash the like buttons if you don't want to be in the matrix.
Fowler,
Yeah, smash that
I
like.
did not say this. This is not advice. I'm just going to use a couple letters that are part of an alphabet. One of them is V, one of them is P, and another one is N. That may solve all your issues there.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's see. I have some stuff about real estate, which, by the way, if you can mention to Johnny Drew, he keeps closed. I have been saving tabs at the end of the stream, and then they keep getting closed.
Oh.
But if he used to add my new ones to the old ones, so we can keep them all building. So just keep that in mind, because I'm gonna leave some of this real estate stuff for tomorrow for you guys if you guys want to touch on it. Let's see if I had any. Oh, Microsoft obviously has been crushing AI. That's pretty interesting. Coinbase. I'm really interested. I'm keeping an eye on Base. Coinbase's layer 2 using the OP stack. I'll cover this real quick. Coinbase, and they've explicitly stated no token, no airdrop, or no plan. There's no plans for token at this time.
Like no tradable token for Base. It's going to be more of a.
And they say there's no plans for it. That doesn't mean they'll never exist. I'm reading between the lines. It seems to me there will be a token for this at some point. From what the readings I've had, there is a test net. So what they're saying is they've got a specific set of objectives they must complete before the company considers launching its layer 2 solution. Base, one crucial requirement is the establishment of a proven track record stability on its testnet. Right now, Base is waiting for Optimism's upgrade of Bedrock, which it says will significantly reduce the complexity and the length of its code base. The team behind Base is also planning to complete the infrastructure review for the OP Labs team, which that was interesting to me. We know they're working very closely together, but just the fact that they're working that closely was interesting, as well as to get past the internal and external audits with no critical severity issues, according to a representative from Coinbase. They didn't share the official timeline on the mainnet launch, but the company said it would share a more consequential update at a later date. So again, I mentioned it several times before. Just one I'm keeping an eye on, keep tabs on. Arbitrum Optimism in general. It was interesting to me that Base chose Optimism. I can kind of understand why at this point. So yeah, see what does that say? XES player 500X. I'm just going to go ahead and shill this meme coin. It's the HBAR first big meme, and it's on AVAX now too. 320K market cap. That's a degen coin. Like, look, I'll read it just because I know you guys are real degens in here. Actually, I can barely read it. It looks like
Grelf.
Grelf. There you go. I read it for you.
Thanks,
do
bro.
with that as you will. So, as always, we love all of you guys. Special love to John and everybody else. Bob from Accounting Crypto Tutorial, Manawak Dago, Testy5, Christian Biddy, Kenneth GB in OKC, a mellow fellow, Eric Carlson, Manley, Ver Hoofty Laughlin, Mike Bennett, Chris. No, I already did that one. This is the Bitcoin way.
Don't forget the Twitch chat. Razmataz, Pew and 78 the Div, Jen Jones, Casino Doggy, Covert Fours,
Ray from the gym, Eric Carlson, Fluffy the Sheep. As always, we love all of you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, Tony D. Don't forget, Frankie Candles 5:45 tonight. BitLab Academy 10 to 11:30 every morning. Truth is on the board. We got some blockchain bunker coming for you guys later today. Have fun.
And
Bye.
Frankie Candles just dropped a market update. Go check it out.
Boom. Smash the like on the way out.